are ready to soar on the eve of Mother's Day. Remember, every Saturday from 9 to 11 we come around. We have guests, we get stories, we laugh, we shed a tear too. We learn so much. Today is no exception. Today we want to pay tribute to someone who continues to do so much. Not just for elder people, you know. So many families. With a team, of course. But today we'll salute Marie-Therese Junkerre. And so I say bonjour again. And welcome to Connecting the Dots. Fasten your seatbelts. Let's get ready to fly, right? On behalf of CTD Airways, it is my pleasure to welcome you aboard flight, Flight 230? We'll take that. Nigel will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm feeling a little nervous today, you know, so I'm calling my co-pilot very early. Nigel, come on, boy, look me there. I didn't say Nigel, and I said Nigel. No, boy, Nigel. Good morning, Nigel Francis Esquire.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Nigel. Yeah.
Yes,
Somebody tell me.
Like you were like one of the flight attendants.
Yes,
you're actually not the flight attendant, the chief pilot.
Yes. So somebody told me I look like I'm connecting dots with Nigel. I put the clothes on me. I did not realize. I mean, the correlation.
I just realized too. Yes.
Yeah. So it looks like I'm connecting the dots.
You're connecting the dots with your beautiful outfit.
Yes, I'm staying true to the program. We are connecting dots.
Why not?
I can make one zigzag on that clothes there. That dot. Anyway, yeah, Nigel.
It's a lot of dots connecting on that dress.
Yes, a lot of dots.
All right, good.
I know we don't have much time. We won't be talking much before because we have two parts, but pretty interesting week, Nigel. Very, very, very interesting week. What was the highlight for me? I don't even know. But by the way, Nigel, you should see me outside the Vatican on Thursday looking out for the white smoke. Nigel, when I got the first of the black smoke, I say, let me leave that thing alone. I left that alone.
Yes. It's taking too long.
Yes, I see Ophelia calling me. Ophelia, I'm live with boy. Yes, Nigel talk still. When Ophelia calls,
that the same Ophelia? Is that Ophelia? You must answer.
That's my girl.
Yes. You have to answer Ophelia. Yes. Definitely. I think a number of Catholics, quite a number of Catholics who tuned in and were, anticipating the announcements that a new papal leader have been chosen. And I guess in the first round of voting, it didn't happen. So we had to wait for the second round. And then, so it's interesting that the signal, it comes via smoke and it lets you know what has happened.
Yes.
That way the entire world can know, what's whether a new one has been chosen or not.
Yes, or not, yes. And imagine we would have gotten so many doses of black smoke, but it was a pretty, relatively short process in reference to some years, back in the day. How much times that black smoke would appear. But anyway, congratulations to Pope Leo. So
yes, I mean the selection was, went by pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
With the intervention and everything else, we now have a new leader for the Catholic faith. So he goes by what? Pope Leo?
Pope Leo the
14th again?
Yes. Yeah. The 14th. Yeah, I think so. Somebody
something like that. Yes.
So congratulations to him.
One of them. But
Nigel, as I said, we're not talking too much. I mean,
we're not talking too much.
Quickly.
We're not wasting time.
Yeah,
right?
So who's on? Let's see who's on already, if anybody's on.
Let me see who's on. I said I was going to go to YouTube this time because YouTube always making noise with me, but it's good to know that. By the way, happy Mother's Day to you when it comes around. I can't forget that.
Yes, thank you.
So let me wish you a happy Mother's Day when it comes around tomorrow.
Let's see you, Bill.
Let me say good morning. The producer early this morning.
Whoosh.
The part-time ex-producer.
Yes.
Who
has been served a lot of detentions, yes.
Yes. So many detentions now. We're just suspension.
Yeah.
But good morning to him. Let me see if I can move very quickly to the YouTube one now and say good morning to our YouTube folks as well. It's always nice to have you on board. We appreciate it. We appreciate the connection.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, we have a part 1 and a part 2. No trouble.
Part 1 and part 2. So
And
we're
Ivona
gonna.
has decided to connect with her outfits,
Yes, we. Yeah.
which is good. Which
Yeah.
is good. Which is good.
Nice.
Which is good. We appreciate that. Let's see. So what are you saying? Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers on today. Yes, happy Mother's Day to all of them as well. Appreciate all of them being there and all those who will be logging on. So, interesting week for you, you were saying, right? The highlight was
Yes.
the selection, the election.
Yeah, that was one of the highlights. But a lot happened, of course, in the week. Jazz and Creole went
Yes, on
well.
the
I mean,
local thing, well, we had the jazz
yes,
and Creole,
yeah,
and then, of course,
yeah.
some
So a lot
interesting
happened.
stuff came
Yeah.
out of it. Some beautiful outfits
Yeah.
and wonderful performances.
So we had a lot of sporting activities as well. Just yesterday, the school's basketball finals, Nigel. So that too was big. Tonight
That
there's
was a big
basketball
one.
as well, the DABA basketball, and tomorrow Dominic will come up against Barbados in a football friendly.
The
So yeah,
football friendly, okay, wonderful, 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 and of course DBS Radio reading competition.
It's on
That's
Wednesday. The finals is on Wednesday coming, so that too is big. So a lot is happening, Nigel.
for those who missed it. Who are the schools in the final? If you remember,
Oh
if you
my goodness,
recall,
Nigel, you're putting me
you
on
don't
the
recall.
spot.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, it's 10 schools going through. We'll see.
Oh well, no, that's
10
too
schools,
much to
yeah,
recall.
yeah,
That's too
going,
many to
yeah,
recall. Too many to
yes,
recall.
yeah.
But of
But
course, you can tune
all the
into the
best to
news
all,
and you will
yes.
find out all the schools
Sure.
that will be taking
So
part.
let's say hello
Yes,
to Sandra
definitely.
Norris, Ellen Prince. Let me say hello to Portia as well. Nigel, I met a Portia and she's always listening. And she just enjoys the program, she says. And well, I get that almost every day, when I go on the road. So, and there's another lady, in Marigot, right? Jennifer Junkerre of Marigot. Let me say good morning to you as well, all right? So, Nigel,
Yes.
normally we have an artist serenading mothers on the day before Mother's Day on Connecting the Dots, but we're doing it differently this year. And it's really a pleasure, to bring on our guest this year. We wanted to show appreciation to one of the women, Nigel, who has a passion for caring for the elderly, and definitely this is a labor of love. And you think Mother's Day, let's get a woman to share her story. She won't be on for the entire, program. She has to leave at some point, and that's why we decided to have a part 2. But Nigel, we are
Yes.
very happy. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. The excitement is on from since yesterday. I saw the excitement. Not as lackluster as Father's Day. I say in itself. But anyway.
That's what they do to us, but that's okay. We're used to it. As a result of us, we have Mother's Day. So we're
Yes.
okay with that.
All right.
Yes, Elizabeth Thomas, morning to you, my dear. Of course, I know you want to say a blessed happy Mother's Day to Ivona and to all the city,
Yeah,
the
thank
family,
you.
and all the city, the mothers that's there as well.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that. Thanks for that, and all the others who will be sharing their story. And as we mentioned, a little different, yeah, because we're giving love to the mothers who are there. Of course, my dear mama, always
Yeah.
looking down and
Sure.
smiling.
Sure.
Love you all the time.
Yeah.
And let's see. So we have others saying Happy Mother's Day. So we're ready to bring on.
Yes,
Is
we're
she
ready to bring
already
her on. Of
scheduled?
course, she's of course, Nigel. She's very disciplined, when it comes to time. So she has been there, looking very lovely and everything. So we're gonna bring her on, Nigel. As I said, it's a labor of love, Nigel. And Marie-Therese Junkerre, by the way, Junkerre with 2 R's, Junkerre. She knows all too well what it is like to care for people, Nigel, care for the elderly. I mean, people with dementia, people with Parkinson's disease, people who have debilitating conditions, like severe arthritis, and so on. Yes, so it's a pleasure to bring her on, Nigel. She's always on radio. She always, champions the cause of the elderly. And I just love to listen to her when she's on with her Zari Williams in the morning on a Wednesday on DBS radio. So yes, Nigel. So let's bring her on.
Yes.
Your turn.
Yes, let's bring her on. And I mean, there's nothing better than when you can, care for those who at some point in their life are probably not able to do as much as they used to, or that they're able to. So that passion and that love, definitely can go unnoticed. So
Yes. Definitely.
Welcome. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes.
I'll hopefully we'll see you in a little while.
Mm-hmm. Put
But good
on.
morning to you and welcome to Connecting the Dots there. Find out a little bit about your journey, your story, and how well you've been doing to assist those who are not able to assist themselves. So good morning.
Okay, my bad. I should put you on your mic. What
Okay. Praise
disrespect
the
is
Lord,
this?
away.
Good
Yes, we
morning.
see you now.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Ivona. Good morning, Nigel. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so honored to be here on the eve of Mother's Day. So it's really, really wonderful. I really want to thank you guys for inviting me to be a part of this very special
Yeah,
program.
it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Nigel, I have listened to some of the programs. I know you're always busy, so you won't get a chance at that time probably to listen. But Nigel, sometimes very, very sad, the stories that we hear, what, the elderly people are going through. But then you get a sense of joy that there are people that, really committed to the cause, to making them happy, to taking them to the gardens, to taking them out on Carnival, day and things like that. So that is what we want to get from that program, Nigel, today. Yeah? Yeah.
Yes, and definitely. Sometimes I mean a lot of stuff goes on in the background and we are not aware of it, and we kind of leave those who are unable to care for themselves and
Yeah.
don't bring that joy for them. So it's nice to know that Marie-Therese is doing that and sharing with them. So Marie-Therese, for those who may not have been listening to you or may not have heard you as a regular on DBS, tell us a little bit about Marie-Therese. What part of Dominica. If you're from Dominica, they might be saying, I don't think she's from Dominica. But what part of
Yes,
Dominica
what
are
part?
you
Yeah.
from?
So we
And
want the
just a
scoop.
little bit of the
We want
background.
everything. Because normally, Nigel, obviously, she's on, as I said, very regularly on DBS Radio. But the nature of connecting the dots is that we find out about the person, and then we go into what they do.
Yes.
So we like the stories. Yes, Marie?
Okay.
Therese?
Right. Well, I'm going to give a big shout out to Eggleston, the village of Eggleston, because that is where I hail from, and it goes right back to my great grandfather. We've been there a very long time, and I think there are quite a few Junkerres up there. So good morning to
Yes, there
everyone.
are junkies up there. Yes,
Indeed,
I used to
everyone in
live
the
up there
village.
with my brothers and sisters at some point. That was long ago.
It's a
Okay.
beautiful
But wait, you live
place.
everywhere, man.
Yeah, I mean, all my brothers and sisters, I have
You,
like a lot, in Eggleston.
you still live
So I
Grand
used to stay in
for
Kaibel
hold
for some
on.
time, Nigel.
You still live
Kaibel.
Grand for, you still
Yes.
live Eggleston, you
Yes, the
live
John
Bath
Baptist
Road,
family
New
and Guy.
Town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful village, full of
Yes.
flowers and very nice
Yeah.
people.
All right. So, okay. So tell us some more.
Right. So Eggleston is the village, and but I spent most of my life in the UK, and I came back about 11 years ago now, actually exactly 11 years, to set up FARCS, Premium Home and Residential Care Services, which is, we specialize in looking after older persons, but it's more than that. It's not just about looking after older persons, it's about enhancing their quality of life by making them visible, not invisible. And yeah, that's about it. That's Marie-Therese.
Yeah. How was it like growing up in Eggleston? Even before we get to the nitty gritty, get to the real stuff. What was it like, growing up in Eggleston? Of course, a beautiful community. All of the flowers you mentioned, but what was the community life like? I want to get a sense of where you are now. We want to tie this in.
It was amazing. I was a troublesome child, and everybody in the village knew me. I spent most of my time in Eggleston with my granny and my granddad and Uncle George. Yeah, and yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
I left from there and went to Guadeloupe because my grandmother is French, or was French, I'm sorry. Granny, I know she's up there looking down, I know it for a fact. And then from there, I ended up in the UK.
Okay. All right, Nigel, that's good. That's good.
Yes.
Nigel,
So,
go ahead.
no. I was just going to ask. I mean, you said lots of fun, troublesome, running around and everything. I'm wondering if that troublesomeness traveled with you when you went to the UK, or maybe when you got there, it was discipline all over again.
Oh, it was discipline. Trust me, my mom doesn't joke. And as you know, with our parents, it's all about education, education, education. So it was about going back to school, or rather college. And then from there, I went initially into the travel industry, as it was. I used to work in a travel agency in a place called Victoria. And then I don't know why I got the buzz to go back to school again some years later, to study law. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a whole different life. It's a different life. You go well, I don't know about others, but for me, traveling to the UK or settling in the UK was about bettering yourself. And the opportunity came to go to college and then later on to university. And that's what I did. And I chose law because I, at one point, worked as a legal secretary, and I was really intrigued with the case law. And so one lawyer gave me an opportunity to start filling out legal aid forms, or typing up statements, taking instructions from clients, and I got the buzz for it. So I decided to go and study it.
Okay. Wow, interesting, Nigel. She decided to go and study it. Yeah. Okay, Nigel. Hello? Why did I say hello? Nigel? Okay, something is wrong with Nigel's mic.
Oh dear.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay, hello? I'm hearing you now, Nigel. Yes, I'm hearing you now. Okay.
I don't know what happened.
We have you. It's okay.
Yeah. No. So I was asking. I mean, when you got to England, a little bit about the around what, not necessarily what age, but were you still in the primary school stage? Were you in high school, or was it? Did you go there very early?
Actually, I went there several times and came back. So there was a point when I was there at primary school age. And then my mom and stepdad decided to come back to settle in Dominica. And so I spent some time going to school at in Dominica, in St. Martin's. I did convent prep. And then they went back. And then I came back again as a teenager. In secondary school stage, that's when I went to St. Martin's School in Roseau, and then we went back again, and this time when I got back to England, it was time to go to college. So yeah, back and forth quite a bit actually.
What was the experiences like? I mean, because eventually we're going to probably see why is it that you've come back to do what you're doing now. What were the experiences like for you, or the initial experiences going over to England?
Well, the one I can remember quite a bit about is I remember when I went up when I was about 8 years old, I think it was, and I remember that I travelled alone, so I was an unaccompanied minor. And the experience on, I think it was BOAC at the time, the airline, and arriving, and it was quite scary because it was a really big airport, and I had to wait in the corner somewhere. I guess probably it wasn't a corner at the time, but I saw it as a corner for my parents to produce documents and what have you. And then eventually I came out and met my baby sister Sandra, who was obviously born in the UK, and Mary, my other sister. And I remember going home and it was freezing cold. And you know, I've come from this beautiful country, Dominica, to this freezing cold country. And my fingers, the tips of my fingers were burning, so I put them under the hot water. It was very hot water. And yeah, so that was my first trip to casualty.
Interesting.
God,
yeah,
so you see, troublemaker. Anyway, yeah, so there was that. So I remember that. I also remember an incident where my mom had a heater, because obviously you have to warm the room. So in our bedroom, my sister and my bedroom, there was a heater that it stood like like a plant pot, but it had a flower thing on the top of it. I guess there was the vents for the heat to come out. And I was so cold, I decided to sit on it.
You decided to sit on it.
I sat on it. I did.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
got a really serious burn on my bum. And I didn't tell my mum, and I begged my sister not to tell my mum, so she didn't tell my mum because I promised to give her my chicken on Sunday. And so she didn't tell my mum, but then I went to school, and of course, the teachers, I couldn't sit on the chair, and so they took me to the medical room, and of course, when they saw the burn, all kinds of questions were asked. It was nothing to do with my mom or my stepdad.
So when you see this, it's child abuse. You think
know what I'm saying
immediately.
But it wasn't. Anyway, it was. I got dealt with properly for that by mom because I didn't tell her. But yeah, so those are some of my memories, and they're nice memories, even though there was pain involved.
Okay, interesting.
Yes. Of course, learning from very early after that. So always tell your mom. Tell the truth.
Exactly.
What was the experiences like at school? I mean, in England, in terms of education-wise, going through school, what was that like?
It was okay. It was normal, I guess. But I have to say, I preferred going to school in Dominica because I remember a teacher I had at St. Martin's School called Miss Bernard. And she really pushed you to achieve your level best. And you know what I really liked, and I still talk about this to this day, is the fact that it was almost like a competition because, you at the end of the year, you either came up first, second, third, or last, and if you didn't learn what you were supposed to learn in that particular class, you didn't automatically move up. You might have to double. I never doubled, actually. But in England, it was different because whether or not you understood whatever the curriculum was for the year that you were in, you would go up the following year. And I never really understood this. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why there are children who fall through the cracks even now. But it was good for me because it helped me when I had my own children growing up in England to make sure that they didn't fall through the cracks, essentially.
Interesting in terms of what happens through the and oftentimes you always hear people say that if you've gone through the school system, through the education system in Dominica, that you are better prepared for what's out there.
Absolutely.
Yes, we would take that seriously. Did you at that point when you were in high school and or going through the school system, whether it's in Dominica or in England, did you find yourself having a closeness with the elderly, or is that something that kind of came later on?
Much later on, honestly.
Okay.
Much. Although I have to say, and my mom's probably going to kill me for saying this, but I was my granny's favorite. Yeah, I was my granny's favorite. She gave me my first watch. I'll never forget it. It had a emerald green face. Granny, my grandmother loved me very, very much. So I guess maybe that's where that's come from. And also my aunts, Auntie Marcia, rest her soul, and my wonderful second mother, who's my auntie, Auntie Vilna. I grew up around these people who were obviously much older than me. So I've always had an affinity for older persons.
And you also grew up respecting older persons as
Absolutely. Because I remember I spent a lot of time in Dominica, and I remember, and in fact I was talking to some people about this the other day, you could not walk past an adult in the village without saying good morning or good afternoon, because you'd get a clout around the air, and they would also tell your parent how rude you'd been, and you'd also get a second clout. So we grew up respecting our elders, our seniors, essentially, those who were older than us.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's fast forward a little. Let's go there in terms of how you got interested in this and what you're doing now. How did it happen? Was it by accident, or was it something that you just decided, no, maybe that's where I have to go?
I'm gonna tell you a story which will sound incredible. I was scared of old people, and my friends who know me in the UK, if they could physically see what I'm doing now, they'd probably faint from shock, because I lost a very good friend because I couldn't bring myself to, this is many, many years ago incidentally, I couldn't bring myself to go and see her mum, who was in hospice care at the time, because I was so scared of hospitals and scared of older people.
Wow.
So I think that God had a plan for me. So it all started when I started getting calls from my senior relatives here in Dominica. I was in England doing really well for myself. And I got calls from an aunt who had cancer of the breast, and I needed to look after her. And then an aunt who lost her husband, and I brought them both up to England to be with me. And then I had my granny and uncle. So basically, most of my elderly relatives, maybe because, I don't know why, but most of them would call me. And I felt it was my duty, because all these people had had an impact, a very big impact in my life when I was growing up, that it was my duty to look after them. But most of them wanted to come back home. They didn't want to be in England. So I got to the point where I was literally flying in and out of Dominica, and at one point in and out of Guadeloupe, because my aunt was receiving treatment there, like every few months. Sometimes I remember getting on a plane in England, landing in Dominica, picking up my aunt 24 hours later, and getting on a plane back to England. So literally I spent 24 hours in Dominica. And it was starting, I didn't know this at the time, but it was starting to take a toll on my health. And so one morning I woke up and I couldn't get out of my bed. And so my daughter, thankfully for that night, I don't know why, but I'd put my phone next to my pillow. And so I called my daughter and just said, come over now. She called the ambulance. They thought I'd suffered a massive heart attack. It wasn't a heart attack. It turned out to be that I had contracted a very serious and life-threatening infection in my heart valves and in my spine, and apparently the infection was designed to kill me. Essentially, they had to create eventually an antibiotic which was pumped to my heart for a very long time, 24 hours a day, and I spent a very long time at the Royal Free Hospital in London. And during that time, I was in a coma. And I remember that I spoke with God. And I made a deal with him, because apparently they had told my children that I wasn't going to make it. And I made a deal with him because I'd been talking about coming back to Dominica to set up a care home when I retired. Because I had been trying to find places for the family members that I was looking after. But at the time, there were very few care homes in Dominica, and the main one was the infirmary, and I at the time didn't want to put my family there. So I decided that when I retired, that was what I was going to do. I was going to come back to Dominica, but God had different plans. He wanted me to do it earlier. So there I was in this hospital, and I made a deal with God, and I told him that if he let me live, I would come back and do this. And he let me live. So I had to come back and keep my end of the bargain. So I sold the practice that I had in England with my business partner, and I came back and set up Farks. That's the story.
That was how many years ago?
It's 11 years ago.
Wow.
You kept your promise.
I kept my
end
promise.
of the bargain.
That was my end of the bargain. He let me live. So I had to do what I said I was going to do. And it's important to know that I had a very successful law practice in the UK. And I kept saying, when I make some more money, when I make some more money, because I want to come down with a lot of money. So, but God said, well, you've made enough, my friend. You need to come back now. So I did. And I've not regretted it, because initially it started off as I'm gonna open this care home, I'm gonna put staff to run it, and I'm gonna go off and live my best life. That wasn't the plan, he said. So I got involved, and I have the most amazing days at Farks with the seniors, getting to know them, getting to know their life stories, making sure that they're seen, taking them out. I don't know if you've ever seen us at Carnival, or we go out to the restaurants. We do a lot of stuff. And it gives me the most immense joy to see the smiles on their faces, especially those who are afflicted with dementia, and those whose families live abroad. So essentially I become their daughter, their niece, their just a relative, because that's what we are at Farks. We become extended family to these people. We make connections with them. It's not just about caring, bathing them, making sure they have a meal, their hair's combed. It's more than that. It's about loving them, letting them know that they're loved, even those with dementia who may no longer recognize family members, or who may do things that that if they were in their right minds, they would never even dream of doing, like, defecating themselves and playing in it, or using swear words, like people who were, as we say in Dominica, bidon l'église, using some kinds of expletives that, makes your hair stand on end, but it's not them. It's not the person that you knew. It's the disease. So yeah.
Wow, Nigel.
Man, that's some
yeah, I want to
powerful
come back.
stuff.
We want to talk about a typical day. You want to give us a scenario and things like that. But let me just ask though, what values are really essential in this line of duty? I mean, obviously, about a nurse and caregiver would have to provide care and maybe have some compassion and things like that. But let us look at the essential values, in this line of duty.
For me, all you need to do this job is compassion, love, and patience. That's it. You don't need huge qualifications. You don't. Obviously, you need to learn about issues that affect older persons. So it's important to take an interest, for example, in what is dementia, how it affects the person, because every person is different and dementia affects every person differently. No two dementia patients are the same. Likewise, important to understand about dietary needs. People with conditions such as hypertension and diabetes. And what we found, especially here in Dominica, I have to say, is that because we grew up on condensed milk and sugar, a lot of us find, especially the older persons, find it very difficult, not even when they've been diagnosed with diabetes, to avoid sugar and sugary products, as a result of which often their diabetes is poorly controlled, which then leads to other conditions, and often things like amputations or chronic kidney disease and so on. So it's important for us, those of us working in this industry, to educate ourselves. And there's so much information on the internet that you can find to learn about how to look after older persons, what affects them. How can you, for example, understand what triggers someone with dementia and how to deflect it? How to understand when someone doesn't want to bathe, why is it that they don't want to bathe? What can you do? Should you force them? Should you walk away and come back later? That kind of stuff. But yeah, those are the qualities I think that you need.
And respect, of course, as well.
Absolutely. And remembering always dignity in care. Just because they're elderly, just because they've got dementia, it doesn't mean that you can treat them like a child. Because one of the phrases that I hate the most is once a man, twice a child. I really hate that phrase, because I think that it suggests to those of us who are then, faced with the responsibility of looking after an older person who may no longer be able to look after themselves, that we can treat them as we treat a child. We can't. We still need to give them choice, and that's really important.
Listen, give us a typical example, really, of a day. I'll give us an example more so of a typical day. You at Fax Home. Obviously, you along with your staff, you care for former teachers, you care for so many people, healthcare providers, former healthcare providers themselves, people who are very much respected in society. I've seen a lot of the photos. You have a presence on social media, and that's very, very, very good. Give us a scenario of a typical day.
Okay, so we start the day usually at around 6 a.m. because we serve tea or coffee or drinking chocolate with biscuits or crackers, depending on whether the person is diabetic or not, at around that time for most of the residents. We have one or two, and especially our special teacher, Martha, who likes to be in bed late, so we don't bother her.
That's Martha Wilson.
Yeah,
Brown
that's
Owl,
my girl, Brown Owl.
Yes.
Yeah, so Brown Owl is one of the queens at Fox, and Brown Owl does not wake up early. And if you try to wake Brown Owl up early, trust me, you're going to pay for it. So, but generally, from around 6:30, they are served with their first cup of tea, coffee, drinking chocolate, bush tea sometimes, with biscuits and crackers. Then the baths, they start their baths. There are some who bathe early and some who don't. Every single resident, apart from two, needs assistance with bath time. So
every single resident apart from two
two of them at Mont Daniel, they need assistance with bath time. And assistance doesn't just mean watching them walk into the shower, and you literally have to take them in there, soap them, make sure they're clean. Some of them are wearing continence pads, obviously, so you need to make sure that they come out smelling of roses. They're then encouraged to go to the activity room so that they can do breakfast in a community group. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. We don't really force them. Then from around 8:30, we start serving breakfast. We have a menu. We do 3 days of high fiber cereals. But there are one or two of our residents who will not eat cereal for you, not for love nor money, so that we do a different breakfast for them. And then the other days they have what we call the big breakfast, which can consist of eggs, sardines, that kind of stuff, toast, salad, lots of salad. We love salad. And then from after breakfast, we start looking at activities, things that we can do with the clients. Arts and crafts, music therapy, massage, cream therapy. Cream therapy is essentially where you make sure that the client's skin is nice and moist, because as you know, as you grow older, your skin gets drier, thinner. So we need to check and make sure. And grooming, we also do grooming at around that time. Sometimes you do individual interactions, it depends. So I've got one of our newest residents. The minute she sees me on site, that is it. I have a tail until I leave. And so, but it's fun. We do that. We encourage her and others like her who want to go help in the kitchen. So you may have seen on our social media platforms people, some of the residents in the kitchen. In fact, there's one of them who cooked for us, and we encourage that, because the important thing is to keep them occupied. Let them know they can make a meaningful contribution to the day. We have one who helps, she goes out to the laundry to help. Now, what we don't do is to force them. We encourage them. But if on any given day they tell you they're not interested, they don't want to wash dishes, or they don't want to cook, or they don't want to peel a potato, we don't force them. If they just want to sit in a chair, we will just let them do that. And so the day goes along like that. On a good day, when the sun is out, we have this amazing mango tree in the grounds. So we bring the residents out there to do activities again, ball games, and relaxation, just that kind of stuff. It's all about just making sure that they're okay. Keep talking to them. We do, for those who have restrictions with mobility, we encourage them every day to walk. There's one of them, he's amazing, but he doesn't like to walk. The only way you can get that man to walk is to tell him, if you don't come and have a little walk, then because he loves food, no lunch. We tell him, there's no lunch today, we're not cooking lunch, we're just going to give you a sandwich. He will get up instantly and walk. It's amazing, but it's not done, and that's important to stress, that it's not done in a forceful way. It's done almost in a jovial way. Just tell him, you want lunch today now? So you have to come downstairs, because he's upstairs. And we believe, for some of our residents upstairs, that making them walk and doing the exercise of going up and down the stairs. So we bring them down in the morning and then we bring them up later on, is a form of exercise which keeps the joints moving, because as you know, if you don't use it, you lose it, especially at that age.
Wow,
wonderful facility. Last time I was home, I actually went up there to visit NC, and also my mom's good friend. Oh my gosh, how can I forget my mom's name? My mom's good friend name. My brother is going to kill me for that. But yes, and we sat under the mango tree and everything else, so up there. So next time I visit again, I'm going to make sure I come over and look for you, so I can be like a tail two for the day.
Yeah, Nigel, you'll be most welcome. Visitors are most welcome. And honestly, I'm going to use this opportunity to plug for, I'm really hoping to get volunteers, people who can just come up and visit, just sit with a resident, come and see what we do. It's really important for people to see and make up their own minds about the care that we provide at FARCS for our residents. So I'm inviting any and everybody, please come up. If you've got a few minutes to spare during the day, if you're retired and you're bored, come up and meet our residents. They are amazing. Honestly, you'll have so much fun.
Wow. Now, Marie-Therese, staying active, staying stimulated and socially connected is essential for promoting emotional and physical well-being in the elderly. So this may be challenging, because based on the person's condition, of course, as I mentioned earlier, there are people with debilitating conditions, there are people who can hardly move. So how do you make this work?
Right. So first of all, let me just say this. 98% of the people that we care for at FARCS, and I'm not talking about our home care residents, I'm talking about the residents at the facility, are afflicted with dementia. And we face challenges every day with things like bath time, eating, because some of them have aphasia. As the disease progresses, they forget how to swallow, they forget how to hold a fork or a spoon. They don't want to go under the water, because obviously for dementia patients, some of them, we think that it's because they don't want to bathe, but sometimes, and I read when I was doing some research that some dementia patients don't see the water, it's invisible to them. And so imagine that you're standing under something and you can feel something touching you and you don't know what it is, and you can't see it because for them it's invisible. So you can understand why, for example, they might not want to have a shower. The others are where we have to hide things like bars of soap, because some of the residents, depending on where they're at in terms of this, what stage they're at in dementia, think the soap is food. Yeah, so it's a constant, every day is a challenge. Every day is a different challenge. It very, very much depends on which client is doing what. But yeah, we take the residents out for walks. For those who are bedridden, we bring them out of bed in a wheelchair if they are able to come out of bed. So for example, we have two double amputees actually, and we encourage them to come out. And I think you might see a photo of one of them on Facebook, in the wheelchair. We bring them out to get sunshine. I always tell the residents, you need some sunshine. Look at the beautiful sunshine. Come and see the sky. I don't want you to see it from your bed. I want you to actually be outside. And it's all about the approach. Don't get me wrong. There are going to be days, it doesn't matter how much you try to mobilize them, they don't want to be mobilized. You have to respect that. But generally, depending on how you approach the resident, you're going to get compliance. They will come out. And one of the things that I found that works is hugs and kisses. They love hugs and kisses. And also stroking their hair. If you stroke their hair, they really love it. And I think what it does, it calms them, it reassures them, because I've learned in the 11 years that I've been doing this, that love appears to transcend dementia. So you can virtually get most of the clients to do something that keeps them active, depending on how you make your approach.
This is challenging at the same time rewarding. I'm saying it that way because based on the activities that you have to do and the residents that you have, it could be challenging. But I'm pretty sure at the same time, when you're able to see them either taking a walk or smiling or eating or having a conversation, or that is the rewarding part.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not at Fox every day. But when I spend time at Fox, when I leave, I have the most amazing warmth in my heart. I feel so happy. I don't know how to explain it. But for me, imagine I go up to Fox. Often I'm supposed to be doing admin in the office. But the minute I set foot in that place and I say the first, because I have to go and say hello to all my residents. I always do. Go and say hello, give them a hug, a kiss. So I've got an adopted dad in Fox. He's 101 years old. And when we started this relationship, I decided, because he could be really grumpy, but I worked out it's because he's sad. And so I started giving him hugs and kissing him on the forehead and telling him, and I told him, you know what, I'm going to be your adopted daughter. And the smile that came on this man's face, honestly, if I could have captured that moment, it was amazing. And so I make a point to make sure I go and see him and tell him good morning and all the others. And then what happens is I see something and I think, or I see someone who's maybe not doing so well, and I decide that, okay, I'm going to spend some time with that person. And then by the time I blink my eye, then I do dance therapy. And one of the things I notice they love is when I put on the old school calypso and then I start dancing. And then what I do is I start winding my waist and holding it and saying to them, tonight I'm not going to be able to walk up the stairs to my home because, you know, my bones are old and rickety. They start laughing, or they get involved and they join and they start dancing. And it's really, quite fun. So when I blink my eyes, like 5-6 o'clock, no one's seen me in the office. Everybody's been waiting. Well, the people who work in the office have been waiting for me to come and sign checks or for me to come and look at something or whatever. That's it. Or I go in the kitchen to make sure that, because one of the things that's very, very important to me is diet. because we know, for example, as we grow older, it takes us longer to digest things like meat, for example. And that we should be eating less carbs and eating more veg. So we're very top heavy on vegetables. And I would take this opportunity to say a very big thank you to my market produce supply, Helena Leighton, who is amazing. So we get lots of Christophines, carrots, cucumbers, kale, that kind of stuff. And I'm always on the backs of my kitchen team. Thank you for always listening. To make sure that we're top heavy on veg for the residents. So we do a third, normally we do a third of meat, so protein, and a third of everything, but we try not to put too many carbohydrates, even though some of my residents, especially those who still have some cognitive ability, give me stress because I don't give them enough dashing and fig on the plate, or I don't put macaroni and cheese, rice and peas and dashing and fig on the plate. It's one or the other, except on Sundays when I give them a little treat. But yeah, so yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing place to be. Honestly, I can't even begin to tell you how much joy I get from seeing these people smile and letting them know that they are worthy, and that someone cares about them. And I have to say a big thank you to the families of the persons, of the residents who are at Farks, because I have to thank them for trusting me with the care of their loved ones, and it's just so amazing, really. I don't even know what to say, because I just, I could do this all day long.
Nigel.
I can tell of the love and the passion that goes into it. That motherly, sisterly, love that you have for them. And as you said, this was something that was almost opposite to your earlier profession and what you did.
For
yes.
Sure.
Do you find days? Are there days when you're like, why am I really doing this?
No.
Okay.
No. There are some days when there are frustrations, but it's never centered around the residents. I sometimes tell my staff, whom I value very much, that if I could, I would do everything. I would look after them. I'd wash their clothes. In fact, often I go in the laundry to help out. I would do everything, because for me, when I do training with the staff, I explain that from Farks, the chances are our residents are going to meet their maker, and I want them to have their best life in the time that they spend with us. I want them to be happy. If for example we cook something, and I always repeatedly tell this to the kitchen staff and to the carers, if we cook a meal and when you bring it for the client, even if they ate it last week, but this day that you hand them that plate, they tell you they do not want it, take it back to the kitchen and ask the kitchen to make them something that they want. And there are one or two of our residents who are very picky eaters, so I encourage the kitchen staff to go and see them in the morning, tell them what's on the menu, and ask them what they want. I know it's frustrating, you're cooking for a large number of residents and you have to do a separate thing for this person, but imagine that you do. So we've got one lady, for example, Helen often doesn't want the lunch that we prepare. She wants sandwiches, she wants cheese, she wants ham, she wants egg sandwich. You really think I'm going to force this lady to eat a plate of food? She will not eat it anyway, because she's told you, I've told you already, I don't want, and that's how she comes to the kitchen, I've told you already, I don't want this. Obviously we always plate her food, and some days she will eat it, but there are days when she's having her moment and she says, I want sandwich and juice. What are you going to do? Force her to eat the food? Of course not. You're going to make her the sandwich. Likewise, some of them will just have finished a meal and they come and they tell you they're hungry. Yesterday was a classic. I witnessed this particular resident eating a very large plate of soup. 10 minutes later, she came back and said, they don't give me nothing to eat. I want something to eat. I want a sandwich. What am I going to tell her? So I went to the kitchen, and of course the kitchen staff are mortified because they say, but Miss Marie, we gave her. I said, I know you gave it to her, but you know what? Come. So I got her to come in the kitchen, tell them what she wanted. She happened to see a ton of bananas, ripe bananas. She said, I want a banana as well. She took 2 bananas. You think she's not diabetic. I'm not going to tell you can't have 2 bananas. Plus we gave her sandwiches. So I think it's about just accommodating their needs. You're not always, I mean, some of the stuff might sometimes be unreasonable. It's finding a way to not deal with it, but find another way to, deflect. It's about deflecting sometimes. But most times, if you give them what they want, they'll be happy. If they tell you they're not ready to bathe, why are you going to force them to bathe? Yeah, just go and come back later. And often within 10 minutes, they've forgotten they told you they were not going to bathe, and they go and bathe.
Are there times there are some of the residents who do little chores, like sweep, clean up?
Yeah, we have that all the time. If you look on our Facebook page, you will see, for example, one of our residents who cooked up a pot of soup, and it was delicious. I tasted it, I know. You will see them washing dishes. You will see them wiping the trays. You will see them sweeping. You'll even see them hanging up clothes or taking off clothes from the... So we try wherever possible to create a at-home environment. So things that we know. So we've got... When we take on a resident, we do what's known as an assessment. It's a mandatory assessment. And we try and get as much information as possible from the resident if they are able to give us those instructions, but if not, from the family members. And then we prepare a care plan so that all the staff know what their likes and dislikes are, what was their profession when they were younger. So for example, one of the residents, her daughter said, my mum loves doing housework. Now, I know she loves not only does she love doing housework, she loves moving stuff around. So you go in her room and her little side table, she's moved it to the other end of the bed, or she's taken her neighbor's side table and put it up by her side. She goes in the wardrobe, she refixes everything. Do you think we're not going to tell her she can't do it? What we do is when she's out of the room, we then try and put things that we can put back. For example, clothing, because often she mixes her clothes with her neighbor's clothes. So we put things back in place. But yeah, we encourage them to do things like housekeeping chores that they would have done at home if they were home.
I'm looking at the live, Nigel. Ellen Prince is saying, I used to work in an elderly home, and everything you mentioned is true. You need to have love, you need to have patience and care as well. What
it is.
Story.
It's a vocation. I tell my staff this, and when people apply for jobs, I tell them, working as a carer is a vocation. It's not a job. Of course, you've got to be paid. You've got bills to pay. We understand that. But if you're coming into this profession just because you need a salary or you need a job, like sometimes I get applications that say, any job you have, I want it, because they're not working. And I understand that as well. But you really need to have a particular, a charisma or patience or love. Is the love. Because you see, if you really love older persons, all the other qualities come naturally, So for me, I want to see people that can talk. How do you speak to the client? So observation is very important. How do you get the client to do something that you want them to do without causing them distress? All that kind of stuff.
That is important. And of course, you seem to almost know your residents, know exactly who's where and the names and what they like and what they don't like and on a daily basis. So even that is important, I guess. What about the families coming to visit? Do you find that their families and friends come up to visit, or do you feel like there should be more of that?
I would say that for the majority of our clients, families visit, or those who live abroad, we have a mainline cell number on WhatsApp that they can call, and they call often. I think that I want to make a special mention of the Jeffreys of this world. This child is very, very blessed. This is Martha's son. Brinsley, who's Dorothy's son. Brian, who's the son of Philippa. Nicole.
Philippa, I was trying to remember.
I thought so, you know. I was going to suggest that. Yeah. Yes. She's such an amazing individual,
yes,
honestly.
Yes.
Really, really.
I came over to see her when I was home.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so
good morning to you, Philip, but tell her hi for me when you get back.
I will do. I will most definitely do that. And she's probably listening because they were going to put the channel on DBS because
nice.
and do you know that, and this is why I know love works. I travel and sometimes I'm out for months at a time, and one of the things I worry about, especially for my patients with dementia, is that when I get back they're not going to recognize me. I always fret about that. I walk into the facility after being away for 3, 4, 5 months and they recognize me. There's only one resident because she's advanced in her stage of dementia, but they do. You know, the Bridgets of this world, my girlfriend, I absolutely love her. I get kisses all over whenever I'm there. Anyway, you know, Nicole, Shamian, Emerson and Gregory and Ezekiel, Hanika, Mary, Nolan, these are relatives of the residents, some of the residents at Farks, and I can tell you they're always in touch. They're always in touch, and a lot of them live overseas. As soon as they land, often they come in. We encourage our relatives, the relatives, to take their families out. Farks is not a prison. So even if your loved one is at Farks, you can come and take them out for the day. You can even take them for the weekend, you know, and especially around important dates like Mother's Day. Come spend some time, you know, with them. Take them out for a meal. Take them out to lunch. If you need assistance, for example, if they've got mobility restrictions, we will provide a carer to go with you. You know, so that's important. And yeah.
So in terms of your staff, do they go through some training? Because I know it's important for caregivers to understand the developmental issues of aging. So what is in place for your caregivers?
So we have training sessions every Wednesday. And we also, in addition to that, do on-the-job training, as well as we have assignments that they must do. So, for example, we recently did an assignment on stroke, understanding stroke, recognizing the symptoms of stroke, and then there's an a question and answer session at the end of the program. Then next Wednesday they've got to hand in one on hypertension, because that's very important, understanding hypotension and so on. However, it's important to note that at Farks, medication and health and wellness matters. So for example, taking vitals morning and afternoon, this is all done by nurses and in the health and wellness team. However, for us it's important that our carers and our cleaners and our laundry people and our kitchen staff understand the impact of the conditions that affect older persons. So we do training every Wednesday. We also have a WhatsApp portal where every single member of staff is on there, and I will post directives, instructions, so they know what is required. We also encourage staff to speak, so they've got direct access to our clinical lead, Dr. St. John, as well as to the nurses. So the idea is that everybody works as one united team to deliver a holistic care services to the clients.
Nigel, before we end though, Nigel, and by the way, there's a message for you, so you'll need to check your WhatsApp. But let me ask though, Marie-Therese, So some of them are very active, some of them can move about, some of them can dance, and I've seen a lot of the videos. Are there times when the security has to be even more than it normally is, because probably there's one or two they don't want to wander off and go by the gate and all of that?
That is correct. We've had to and we have to constantly review security measures at FARCs. We have, for example, one of our residents, we've had to put locks on the downstairs balcony doors, because every room has a balcony, so that, for example, if they don't want to sit in community, they can sit in their room. And I actually saw this myself. I was outside in the grounds with two colleagues, and one of the residents actually jumped the balcony in front of me. So that same day, we had to put locks on the outside of each door on the downstairs, on the floor downstairs. And because I knew if we did it on her door alone, she would, despite the fact that she's got dementia, work out that she can go in the next room and do the same thing. And that's exactly what happened. She tried to get out of her room door through the balcony. Now, during the day when there's people about, okay, we might say, well, okay, that can pass. But imagine she gets up in the night and decides to do that. So we're constantly reviewing security. We've installed cameras as well. We had them before Hurricane Maria. Obviously, they completely were obliterated, and then it took us some time to get them back. But they're there now, thank God. So we're able to monitor closely what's going on. Obviously, we don't put cameras in the client's room because that would be an invasion of privacy. But everywhere else, inside and out. So we've got cameras.
Yes, Marie-Therese, listen, I want to thank you, because you know why? I want to thank you for what you're doing. I want to thank you for what the staff is doing. I want to thank the families for ensuring that they can continue keeping it together. As we wrap up, and in terms of tomorrow, of course, is Mother's Day, your final words to the residents, to the families, Dominicans in a whole.
Here's what I want to say. First of all, I want to say happy Mother's Day to every single mother out there. To the single mothers, I see you. I honor your strength. You play a very important role in the story of being a provider, a nurturer, a protector, a peacemaker, and still manage to show up every day with love in your heart. To caregivers, to every single caregiver out there, whether you're a daughter, a son, a niece, a neighbor, looking after an aging mother, thank you. I know it's not always easy, especially if your mum is living or afflicted with dementia or declining health. But you are doing sacred work, in my opinion, work that often goes unseen, but never unnoticed by the heart that receives it. Mothering isn't just about biology, it's about nurturing, guiding, comforting. At FARCs, I've met residents who no longer have children of their own around, but who still mother others in the home, offering advice, a listening ear, or just a warm smile to a new resident. The spirit of mothering is powerful, and it's never too late to shine. So I'm asking you, let's use this Mothering Sunday not just to give flowers, but to give time. Call your mum if you're lucky enough that she's still around. Visit your grandma. Check on that neighbor who lives alone, because love, like motherhood, is most powerful when it's shared. I want to encourage everyone listening to look back with gratitude, look around with compassion, and look forward with commitment. Check in with your mother. Check in with your grandmother, no matter what's gone on. I know some of us have stories, from our childhood. Put that to the back of your mind and enjoy whatever time you have with your mum, your grandma, your auntie. Just 5 minutes of your time could mean a world of difference to someone else. And to all the residents at FARCs, to all the carers, to the families, some of whose names I mentioned earlier, and especially to my Auntie Vilna, who's a resident at Farks. Special mention to my mom, who's in Eggleston. I love you very much, the both of you. I wish you all an amazing Mothering Sunday. Yeah. But remember, please, Mothering Sunday is not just about Mother's Day. Every day is Mother's Day. And for our seniors out there, I wish you an amazing day today and always. And you all know, no matter what's going on, if you need a listening ear, I'm always around. And you know how to get hold of me.
Nigel, what a touching program, because, sometimes, Nigel, as I said earlier, when we started, normally we have, someone come in and sing to mothers and all of that. And, the live, it's, there's a lot of people on the live. This is not a sexy topic, but this is a very important topic. This is, it
is.
Marie-Therese has, she has said so many things here, Nigel, that we need to take on. This is deep.
Yes.
This is
deep. Yes, it is. Pick up the phone now and tell your mom hi.
Yeah.
Okay, Mama, hi. Even if you're up there in heaven looking down on me, but hi. So, of course, there was one person on the live who said they wanted to get the contact information in case they want to call or they want to visit the home or they want to send stuff to the home. So, maybe you can just give that information.
Yes, thank you. So you can contact me on 767 276 2871 767-276-2871, and I'm giving out that number not just for someone who might want to contact me or get more information, but also if there's someone out there and you're alone looking after caring for an elder person, maybe someone with dementia who might be displaying challenging behavior, call me. I'm happy to give you advice over the phone, and I will even visit you. I don't care where you are in Dominica. If you need me, give me a call. I will come out, okay? And I'm not asking you to pay me for it. I'm doing it for you free of charge, okay?
Nigel, you realize there's a connection between last week's program and this week's program. Our guest last week.
Yes. So guest last week, Judy.
Yes. So Nigel, we have to
occupational therapy. Yes, and it's someone who probably would be nice in contact with as well, Mariterese.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be great.
She's going to be in Dominica for the next month or so, and she's an occupational therapist and works with stroke victims and everything else, and dementia,
that's amazing.
And other conditions.
Yeah, we had a great programming for last week. So let me say a big thank you to you. I know you have to leave early as well. We have part 2 coming up. Let me just say all one the live. Sandra Norris, I see your comments. We really welcome it as well. Yvonne Garraway as well, Winnie Green, and all the others. Nigel Sika Philip is saying Bridget is listening under the mango tree.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Isn't that amazing?
So Bridget is one of the residents?
Yes, she is. Yeah, she's all of them are my favorites, but she's my special favorite because she always comes up to me and kisses me whenever I arrive.
Thank you, Joe Cam, for your comments. That program is educational. Ellen Prince is there still, and wow, Nigel. So we'll do it. We'll welcome, in fact, Marie-Therese another time, because we have to continue to look at these issues. I remember when we had the Dominica Council on Aging, I think we had them twice already. And incidentally, as I speak about the Dominica Council on Aging, there's also a cake sale going on outside of the All Saints University, so people can go and patronize this.
Go and support. Yes. We'll probably come to the facility and do a special Connecting the Dots program.
That's it, Nigel. That's it.
That would be amazing.
We can make arrangements for this.
Yeah. And I hope to see you, Ivona. Come, please, and come and visit. Come and meet some of the residents. Honestly, you'll be blown away.
I mean, especially Miss Wilson, that's my girl, and NC, because I live right next to NC, so yes. All the best to you.
I remember my visit, I was dancing away with her and Philippa and the others.
Yeah, nice.
It was a good time, it was a good day.
Good, yeah. Well, we look forward to having you back, Nigel.
Oh, most definitely we'll be there. Now with my brother Reggie always wants to come up there and visit, so we'll be there.
Welcome anytime.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you for that.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you so much,
and
happy Mother's Day to you.
Today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really truly honored. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so Nigel, you keep talking.
Keep talking. Well, thanks again to Marie-Therese Junkerre. First part of the program, part 1 of our 2-part program today for Mother's Day. sharing all that beautiful information, and more importantly, making us know how important it is to continue connecting with our, with those who might not be able to do the things that they used to do at one point in time. If you're in Dominica, make sure you go up there and visit up there more than visit the facility, or call and see how you can contribute to that. So Mother's Day happens tomorrow. To all the mothers out there, continued happy Mother's Day. Blessings upon those of you who have your mom still. Visit her, call her, share some love. Whether it's the grandma, the aunt, the sister, the niece, whoever is a mom. And to those who, the single moms, hold strong, hold tight, and continue to shower that love onto, the kids. Getting ready for another section. Normally we have a part 1, part 2. In part 2 today, yes, I think it's going to be for Atlanta Carnival. But more importantly, we're going to continue connecting, because we love to do that before, with our folks who are out there. So the connection is going to be some Atlanta folks, who not only do the carnival activities, but they do other stuff, and only the individual professions and interactions. They continue to make sure Dominica remains central to them. So I wonder if they're on. I haven't seen their faces yet. So, Papa, well, look trouble.
Who is that in Nigel?
I don't know who is that, but can you believe that someone who was supposed to be a guest like for years, someone who was a producer,
Carnival,
he run away from us, he doesn't produce no more. He have about 3 detentions now, heading to suspension.
He has abdicated his responsibilities.
And one thing I know about the SMA old boys, they don't do that. So I'm wondering if he really went to SMA. So anyway, we will connect with them, and then we have Joseph. Is that the same Joseph Gis who used to play football? I'm trying to figure it. That's the same Joseph. Joseph.
A long time ago, but yeah.
Joseph.
So he had an alias. Was it?
Yes. Tutti. Joseph.
A long time ago, but
yes. Joseph Tutti is from Harlem.
Okay.
And of course, Dominica played for football, Harlem and Dominica. I don't know, you remember Tutti?
Been a minute.
I remember the name, of course.
You remember the name, but you don't remember him playing.
I don't remember. No, I don't.
Man, because nobody likes Tutti and play on the football football field.
But I heard that name, several times.
And of course, my neighbor and friend and everything else, Kenita as well. Mommy would be happy to see you there too. So I have Mommy, which is Kenita's mom. That was like a mom too. And I have Mama, my mom, who was like a mom. So here we go. Connection all over the place. Hey, good morning, folks. How are we doing? How are we? Happy to have you connecting with us. If it's your first time, well, the first time we have one connecting, he's always on. Good morning, Alvin. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Ivona.
Hi, good morning. I'm not seeing you as clear as I would like to. I'm seeing this like.
Do you know that person?
Yes. Okay, that's getting better.
Do you know him?
His head is your face should be more centralized, sort of. I'm seeing this beautiful top.
I'm seeing him now.
But
yes.
You seeing him better? Okay, yeah.
Good morning to you, Mr. Joseph Gist as well.
Hi. Man, this lady was so impressive, wasn't she?
Yeah,
she was.
Marie-Therese.
Yes. And the work that she does.
It's just the connection and just her effusiveness. I mean, dude, I'm just sitting down there just listening to that lady. I'm going like, wow, dude. That is somebody who's doing something so meaningful.
Definitely, and doing it with a passion, man.
That's important.
Good morning, Kenita. How are we doing?
Good morning, Nigel and Ivona. I'm doing excellent. Thank you. How are you?
I'm
nice
good.
Nice to see you.
Yes. We connect again through this.
I know.
If I recall, maybe the last time we connected, I saw you. Was it in Dominica or was it here in Florida? I don't remember.
No, last time I think was in Dominica. But remember, we saw you at our event.
Yes.
A couple years ago. Yes. We saw you at our event. That was exciting to see you.
I was dancing away till 4:00 in the morning.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Looking forward to that again.
So, talking about dancing.
I thought you were from Dominica dancing.
Yeah, I thought he was going to.
Everybody from Dominica can dance. Why wouldn't Nigel be able to dance?
Some people have. Maybe he has two left. I don't know.
When I get on the dance floor, different. When I get on the dance floor, it's a different thing,
Ivona, just in case Ivona, there are free SMEs there right
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Ivona, can you hear that? Can you
And
hear that
next week I
signal?
understood it will be torture
The
for
three
me.
smartest men alive there with you right now. So you're
Yes.
good
And next
company.
week and next week Saturday we'll have like a lot more smartest men.
Yes.
Anyway, let's not do that to
Yeah,
Ivona
but it's a
today, you
pleasure
know.
to have you on, Alvin and the others, Alvin Thomas, of course. You know, it's a while we wanted to have you on. I know you're doing so much for Dominica. You know, some people don't really realize there's a lot that you are doing, that you're involved in, you know, and we really have to big you up for this. And yeah, so we welcome your presence on the program. All of you, obviously, all of you. Let's get to the meat of the matter, Nigel, before we run out of time. We
Yes,
know,
before we run out
yes.
of time, and then we have one or two gifts to give away
Oh
for
yes.
Mother's Day as
Oh
well. We can do that in
yes.
between, you
You
know.
know, but there's
Um,
yeah. So let's
yes,
let's
who
go with
knows? Maybe the three of them might say, "Hey, we have a gift too. You know,
yeah.
if you're coming to the event, you
Yes.
probably can get
Can
your
get
free
right,
drink
right. So let's see.
or discounted ticket. You
Yeah.
never know
So
for
let's make
Mother's
this
Day, so they
happen.
might
So
be giving something away
yeah.
as well.
So
So very quickly though, of
yeah.
course,
But there's something, Nigel, I was just about to say, there's something innately unique about a Caribbean infusion in a carnival. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but here's what we are getting at. You know, where I'm going with this. The essence of Carnival is how to say, deeply intertwined with Caribbean culture. You know, Caribbean people are everywhere, and so yeah, it's a fait accompli. So anytime you have an involvement of Caribbean person, whether in Atlanta or wherever they are, in Canada or wherever, of course, you know it will be big. You know, and you know, so when you have Dominicans play an integral role, Nigel in Carnival, voila. So Nigel Carnival is a vibe that's growing exponentially, particularly in Atlanta. For the past few years, Nigel, I don't know what's happening. I'm not sure you saw it, right, Nigel? In terms of
Yeah,
Atlanta
I mean,
Carnival. It's,
you'd always have, you know, what I mean, you know, the Labor Day thing, or you'd
yeah,
have,
but
you know,
there's
but for
something about
some reason,
Atlanta, yeah.
Atlanta seemed to
Yeah.
be getting onto the carnival map. I'll put it that way. So it might be because of this three and the activities that goes on. That I mean, I don't know, but so tell us, Alvin, in terms of and any one of you, how did this come about as it relates to the Atlanta Carnival, this
Yeah.
particular event that you guys are doing? How did that? I mean, what is the foundation of that? How did that come about?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Nigel. And again, good morning. A good morning to Ivona and yourself and the many guests who are on. And it's really a pleasure to be here this morning. I know you've been trying to get me on in a different capacity for some time now.
Which we will.
It will happen. It will happen. It will happen. But yes, the Atlanta Carnival has been going on for the last 37, almost 38 years now. Started way back in 1987. 1988 was the first time that they really launched officially a real big effort at it. And it has been happening for the past several years. But in terms of Island Classics itself, it's an idea that grew out of, I would want to say, though, that back in, I believe it might have been 2010 or 9, thereabout, Geese celebrated his birthday in Atlanta, and we did it in the form of an old school party. We had Hunter there as well, and Marie Clark was one of the brain person behind that. And it went very well, and out of that, we just felt, you know what, maybe we can do what is called an old school jam. I mean, that is not in any way to put aside any of the Bunyo and the other music, but we just felt, you know, Nigel, like you and I and the rest of us, when you get to that certain point, you know, the Bunyo might be a little too heavy on the heart. That doesn't mean to say that you don't enjoy it, you know. Don't get me wrong. I don't want now for the Bunyo guys to get on me. But we
Did you
felt,
just
you
say
know,
that
having
Buyo to
something
heavy on the heart?
like an old school jam would be a nice feature as part of the carnival celebration. And we started way back in 2018. Thereabout 2019, we had our really first big one. It was, and we usually put a theme with it, splash of colors. Then, of course, 2020, you know what happened with COVID. So we had a hiatus 2020, 2022 during that COVID period. And then we launched again in 2023, and we again had another theme, Island Flags and Colors. And again, last year, 2024, we again had it. And this year, hopefully, we're going to have it on again this year. This year theme is flamboyance. And last year, I would say, though, that every year what happens, the carnival identify a country for that particular carnival. And last year was Dominica's year. We had Issa Banton as the Grand Marshal for that carnival last year. And it went very well. We also gave ASA an award last year as well at the event. So that in a nutshell is how it really started. It's a group of, all of us, Dominicans, of course, 6 of us, and with this beautiful lady you see there on the screen, Kanita, part of that group. And we're just excited. It as I said, the concept is like an old school where you go back and you know how it feels. You were there for 23, I think it was. When
yes, definitely.
And I mean, you could vouch for the music that comes out, the kasab, the tabu combo, the bells combo, the gramax, the exile one, even the CK. Go back in time, the calypsos, the whole genre of music. And that basically is what it's all about.
Interesting. By the way, let me just read one message from Auntie Eva Francis. I read in itself here, so listen. SMA was also referred to as...
Don't read the rest.
Don't read the rest.
Still Event Association.
Don't go there, Ivona. Don't go there,
Ivona. Okay, let's continue.
Because I'll be on next Saturday.
Let's continue.
Don't read the rest.
Okay, I'll leave it alone. I'll stop there.
But So I mean Kanita, in terms of the events, Island Classics, what actually happens at that event? Is it something that is, for those who don't know, is it like an outdoor event? Is it held at some space? Tell us a little bit about that particular event itself.
So we rent an indoor venue called JVC Rentals. And we've had the same place for years because it's perfect for the event. There's a perfect outdoor setting that we decorate and indoor setting. Now it's a dinner and dance. So we have it all decorated. We have a team that we have hired a team every year to decorate for us. It's exquisitely decorated to match the theme. Every year that we have a theme, and this is flamboyant, so you can just imagine what it's going to look like. And it's a sit-down dinner. It's a buffet type. So you do a buffet, you come to the buffet, you get your dinner, you sit down. We have servers serving you your drinks at your table. We do have an open bar. It's an open bar all night. So you can, and we have band and DJ intermittently. So you can come in and enjoy yourself from the time you walk in the door, the orders being served, dancing, then food, then drinks. There's no limit to what you can eat or drink. So it's an all-inclusive event, and it's perfect for a carnival time. It's absolutely perfect. We offer everything that you want, every drink that you can think of. We offer mixed drinks, any drink that you can think of. The food is always the menu of the food is always planned based on the Caribbean effect.
Okay.
So we try to always make sure that Dominica is involved. So it's not only Dominica, we want to open it up to every Caribbean person, every islander, but we make sure that there's something about that menu that will take you back to Dominica. Dominica is on your palate at some time in that menu. Like this year on the menu, and I wouldn't give out the whole menu, we're cooking a breadfruit salad. Somebody might say, well, where do you get breadfruit in Atlanta? We make way and we make sure that we have breadfruit from wherever we need to get it. Desserts are coming all the way from Dominica. So we also support the economy in Dominica when we do these things. We have people from Dominica making our desserts to send it up to us via, airplanes. So we do always incorporate Dominica, in spite of we trying to do an all island thing and make sure every island person is there. Dominica has to be in your palate during that event, has to be in your mind, has to be in your soul every time through that event. Yes.
Which in a way, Joseph, as it relates to the participation and involvement of other countries, although it's being organized, I guess, by Dominicans, but you try to ensure that you can bring in other Caribbean countries, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a Caribbean event, right? It really is. I mean, the quality of the event, I think that's what stands out. The music, the food, the environment. I mean, people rave about it. And as we said, it's kind of old school jam. We don't discourage the younger folks to come because, the second generation Dominicans, that's their introduction to the culture too. So we encourage it, but I think particularly people who, the a little more mature, or let's say the vintage individuals, I'll use that word, I think maybe that's more appropriate. will find this event just very satisfying. So, I mean, it is. I mean, ultimately, the goal of the group is to create such an effect, making this thing big enough where we can, the next step is to use resources from this event to donate, towards causes in Dominica. I mean, we get in there. It's going to take a minute. I mean, it started very, very well. Then it was COVID. We had to take a little hiatus, but now we're getting back with it and we're exploring ways to make it bigger, and we'll get there. But ultimately the goal is this organization will focus on doing things in Dominica. And, we've started, with actually getting some food from there. And, but the focus, I know we say it's a Caribbean event. Yes, it is. But it's heavily Dominican influence.
Great, that's good. That's because, as I said, the essence of Carnival is deeply intertwined in Caribbean culture, with Caribbean culture. Dominican culture more so, I tell you. There's something about Dominicans and the way, Nigel, you know the vibes. I mean, the way we have been organizing events of that.
For some reason, we just take over the thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what. I've been to a lot of events, Carnival in different states, but the Atlanta Carnival, I mean, it really, really is. I don't know if it's because it's probably the first one I went to. I was in the US for a long time. I never really was into, I was on the West Coast, right? I mean, we don't really have anything on the West Coast until whatever. It's been, but I never went, but then I went to Atlanta Carnival, and man, dude, I wouldn't say it changed my life, but I reconnected in a sense, and it's been as a good place in my heart. And talking about dancing, I want to go back to this. When you talk about Dominicans loving to dance, that woman that's on that show with us there, Kanida, oh my goodness, okay? When we talk about dancing, some people dance and they go off she dances all night. I'm not kidding, okay? So when you talk about dancing, and that's it right there, so.
Nice.
I have to keep the spirit alive. I have to make sure everybody's on the floor with me. I love that. That just feeds my soul when I dance.
But
everybody has to be on the floor with me.
Here's something I want to do, though, Nigel. I want to go back a little. Seriously, I want to go back a little. I mean, we have these people there. Yes, we mentioned their names. I want a little about them, though. We mentioned, of course, Joseph Gates was involved in football and all of that. But tell us a little more about yourself. What community you're from and things like that. I think we have time for that.
Well,
yeah.
Who wants to go?
Okay.
Let's begin from our producer, Nigel. So Joseph, let's just make let Alvin take the first shot at this.
Yeah.
Now, well, Ivona Nigel, and I'm sure many of those listening know me as Alvin Thomas from Roseau, Oti Bogozo, Levy Ozo, Pills Lane, Queen Mary Street, Hillsborough Street, Tupatuozo. And as I will say again, I'm a SMA boy, went to SMA, graduated there. Lived in Roseau all my life until the latter part when I moved to Castle Comfort and then migrated from Dominica back in 98. Prior to that, of course, I worked in the public service for many, many years. I was also the general secretary of the CSA for some time, many years as well, 8-9 years. So held several positions around. I'm sure you will require a show by itself for
which we will
go into more details as far as my involvement in the community and stuff like that.
And of course, he's the current chair of the SMA reunion project that he's trying to get.
I'm the current chair of that project. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so having moved to Atlanta, I have not taken away my involvement with Dominica or anything like that. As a matter of fact, as recent as February, 2 months ago, I was in Dominica just prior to the Carnival.
That was for the opening of the...
setting up of a business venture operation that we just set up, my family and I in Dominica.
Yes, I know you must go visit and get some wonderful sunglasses.
I went there already, Nigel. I went there, and I was looking at the place again yesterday. It's very pretty, man, Nigel. Sometimes I go and look at your house, Nigel, with all the flowers. But I was looking at this place yesterday. The beautiful white, really bright white and brown. But anyway, that's one of the program.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. So let's put the lady in the center.
Special show at a later time.
Yeah, of course. Let's put the lady in the center. Hi, Konita. Tell us who you are.
Hi. Well, Nigel knows very well, but I lived all my teenage years in Kennedy Avenue, right across the street from Nigel. Um, and we moved, like in 79, we moved to Emsall. And right after that, after the hurricane, like most people, we left and went to St. Thomas. My family is my mother's from the Moore Park area.
Okay.
And, we're all on the northwest coast. My father from the Dubla area, quite a few areas. Our families moved all over Dominica. But I was born in Roseau, and then we decided to stay in Roseau at that time. So when we left, I went to St. Thomas. There I went to school there. I was recruited there to do a special program at North Carolina State. So then I went there and finished school there. Went back to St. Thomas and found myself all the way back in Atlanta, living the best life I can live with this gentleman. I'm the balance of the testosterone in my group.
She's
That
not
is so,
killing
and
it.
that is so important to have.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes,
she's not
I'm not
killing
trying to
it, man.
minimize. I'm not trying to minimize the testosterone, not at all. We don't minimize anything in our group. We make everybody shine bright. But I'm just the balance of the
Tell
testosterone.
them.
So you
Like
do need
this.
a balance.
Yes.
Five men and one woman. It can be a challenge. But yes, but Dominica is in my heart forever. Dominica is always in my heart. I come to Dominica whenever I can, whenever there's a function. I have family there still. But this is always home for me. It doesn't matter where I go and what I do. And I've traveled quite a few countries. But Dominica is almost foremost in my heart.
Nice.
That's where I know I belong. And pretty soon I'll be back.
Okay.
Here we go.
Joseph
I'm gonna like
Gates.
to make connections because
Yeah.
sometimes she's like, "Who is this person? Who is this
Yes.
person?" Ivona, she's a sister of Dance. Okay, Dan Shillingford.
Ah.
All right.
All right.
You
That's
see?
my friend, man.
Now
That's
you
my
get.
friend.
You see, once I say that, she understands the
Dance is my
connection.
friend,
Yeah,
man.
and
Nice.
I have to be associated with bands all the time to be recognized. But
Oh
Well,
my goodness, I can
because of the
imagine.
fact that
Yes.
because of the fact that he's the one that's home
Yeah.
still,
yes, yes,
so
yes.
most people would know it that way. So yes,
Okay,
yes.
so let's go to
But
And of
Joseph.
course,
that's okay. I
Let's
don't
go.
mind that at all. I love being associated with him, so it doesn't
Yes,
here
of
we go.
matter.
course.
Here we go.
Joseph Gates,
And of
tell
course,
us
Mr. Joe.
before we go back to
Yeah,
let's go
but
back to Carnival.
I mean, I think, just talking about the group, and I'll go a little into, my own history. I mean, Dominicans are very strong personalities, right? And so it's all professionals in this group. But I think what's really nice about it is how the respect, I mean, we can, advocate very strongly for our positions, but then just the level of respect, that's something when I leave those meetings, no matter how intense they are, because I mean, when you're planning, I mean, the intensity can rise, but it's the respect that everyone has for each other that is just remarkable. So with me, I grew up in Montjean Newton. I grew up, I went to SMA. That's where I met Alvin for the first time. Stole my recess a couple times, you know what I mean? And, so you still owe me something for that. I went to SMA.
SME again.
I
Yeah, that
played
would be.
youth cricket. I played youth soccer, and I played national cricket. I played national soccer. That was fun. It was a good experience. I mean, those times between my most memorable times, I should say, is when Harlem and Kensborough events. I mean, it's funny because Cecil Elwin was on a show just recently.
Cecil Abu
Was it
Elwin.
your show?
On
I'm not
Cecil
sure which
Joseph
She was
show.
on the
but
Creole
Yes.
Handbits.
La
Yes.
Cool,
Oh,
La
no, on
Cool.
Laco.
Abu.
Oh,
Discovery's
you was on the
Laco.
show.
Okay.
Last week Sunday.
And
Yes.
I mean, it's just so true. I mean, he was exceptional. I mean, I remember even on the show, I said that the times the players who gave me most grief when I played was he and Rojo. Oh my goodness. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, I like playing against Kensborough because when we win, it's I mean, the celebration is off the roof, right? But then, man, to win, you had to play. You
And
had
there
to
was
play. And it
intense
took a lot of
rivalry. Yes.
energy. And I mean, I had to run. It was amazing, though. I mean, that experience. And growing up in Harlem, too, I was young. I went to SMA, and I was the secretary of the club. So I was very involved. And the guys, the older guys, would my mentors, and so Faustin, Grell, all these guys, Keza, and all these guys that I I would come and meet with them, and they would give me my assignment, and I had to go everywhere and get everything done. I would have to come back in the evening and report to them. So I mean, at the time I didn't realize that, but it really helped me a lot, you know. So when I came here, I went to school, and I ended up in San Diego of all places. Most people from the Caribbean, it's the East Coast and Atlanta, which is becoming really popular. But I ended up in San Diego, so I was kind of disconnected for a long time, you know.
Okay.
But then, you know, now I'm so happy to be reconnected to it, and you know, be involved in this organization that really is you know, I love it. I love it. I
That's good.
know, and we're excited about what's coming up this year, and we're hoping that everyone will be aware of it.
All right. So thank you. Now, Alvin, what for you though is the highlight of this carnival, this Dominica's involvement, Caribbean involvement, this water. Do you see it sort of embodying a spirit of we'd say unity, maybe resilience as well, and cultural exchange, you know, among Caribbean people, or is it just merely a time to have, you know, good time and then you go back home?
No, absolutely. That's a great question, Ivona. I think one could say it's what I would say a rich tapestry of events where everyone, that includes family, music lovers, revelers, everybody, Dominicans, and as Kanita said, folks from the other Caribbean islands can come together. It's resilience, it's our culture, it's our heritage. And I think that is the beauty about it. I mean, Atlanta, as Tuti rightly said, I mean, Atlanta is growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, when I came here several years ago to what it is now, I mean, it's like night and day. It's still a very popular destination. As a matter of fact, just to digress a bit, World Cup is coming up next year, and Atlanta has about 4 games or 5 games, including semi-games. So you can imagine what's going to happen in Atlanta. And I think what happened, it was after the Olympics in '96 that it just opened up, the floodgate just opened up. So yes, it's an opportunity of coming together, camaraderie. You have the Trinidadians doing their thing. This year, the island focus is on Trinidad. So you have this legend, Neil Iwer George, the Grand Marshal this year. So you have Grenada, St. Kitts, St. Croix. I mean, you just name it. So I think it's resilience of we as a people. It's an opportunity for us to display that. And absolutely, from an economic standpoint, the city benefits tremendously because people come in, hotels are booked, you can't find hotels, Airbnb is booked, money is being spent. So it's a combination of all of that together.
For the actual event that you guys are doing, the Island Classic, do you find that it's strictly Dominican music, Dominican performers, Dominican, or are you at a point where you are trying to bring in other Caribbean countries with it? Either Kunita or Tuti, any one of you guys?
Our focus is making sure that you are aware of Dominica at all times. So we want to make sure that Dominica is in the forefront every time we do an event. But we are open to having other people come so we can share, we can blend, we can bond with every other island. We want your culture to be present there also. Presently, we still do have a very heavy Dominican presence because I guess all the members of the group are from Dominica. So we focus our energies on Dominica, and more Dominicans respond to us because they know us personally. But we have had other people from other islands come in. It is not a very heavy influx of other people from other islands, but we are trying to encourage that, to bring you in, to provide your food, to provide decoration that will remind you of your home when you come in there. So we want it to be really full Caribbean, but right now we must say that it's heavily Dominican influx and not much of the other Caribbean islands. But every year we do have some other Caribbean islands coming in, and we are trying to push it as much as we can to include everybody because we want to be known as a Caribbean group, not just Dominican. Although our end result will be based on helping Dominica, which is where we are going to, where we're doing this for. but we want everybody to help to Dominica, not only Dominicans, to help Dominica.
And I'm sure that the success of last year's program has propelled you to push even, do even more.
Yeah, but just to say very quickly in what Kanita just said, in 2023, our theme was Island Flags and Color. So we had a flag representing all the various countries in the Caribbean. So that shows you the inclusiveness that we try to bring to it.
All right, because I was just asking in terms of
party.
Sing that song again?
The black man feeling to dance.
Yes,
so songs like that, really,
yeah. That's one of your favorite ones, right? You see? But I was just saying that because in terms of like if someone was to come to the event and they probably want to hear, let's suppose that person is Lucian or that person is Grenadian or so on. But they only hear in Dominican music.
No, that's not how it is.
Okay, tell us.
No, that's not how it is at all.
Okay.
I mean, if you somebody who you experience Caribbean music, yes, there are a few, there are a number of songs that that are Dominican songs, but I mean, dude, the music is Caribbean music, It's
very diverse throughout the Caribbean.
Very diverse. But it's just when you even in Dominica, when we go to an event, an old school event, when I was growing up, for instance, there were a lot of Dominican sounds, but there was all these sounds from Trinidad, from Barbados, from St. Lucia. I mean, it's the music is music. It's Caribbean music, right? We just happen to be Dominicans who playing, who've organized it, and the focus. The ultimately whatever comes from it will benefit Dominica more than anywhere else. But it's a Caribbean experience. It really is.
So I want to give away something. You want to tell people if they want to call, they can call.
Oh yes.
Yes. All right.
But before you do that quickly, Nigel, we need to mention too that we have a live band, Impulse Band.
Oh yeah.
The event for the last 3 years, we've had a live band. They're Dominican based in Tampa, and listen, they are really, really, really good. And the people have asked for them year after year.
Oh yes, I can attest to that.
You can attest to that.
Oh yes. We danced on Impulse the whole night,
Yeah.
And they were playing my beautiful Cara songs for me. So
we have a DJ Silent. He's a Dominican guy too, but a very popular DJ in the Atlanta area. So we have both live band and DJ for the entire night.
All right.
Wonderful.
I mentioned the music is all Caribbean genres, not just Dominican bouillon. And we do play bouillon. We have old school CK bouillon. So we do have a lot of all Caribbean genres, so not just Dominica at all. The band can play everything.
Everything.
A song just came to mind, Nigel. Ridiculous, I get non-ridiculous. You know that song?
You get non-ridiculous, yes.
By the way, Winnie Green.
I remember when Impulse started playing my Explainer favorite song.
Hey, Papa Lauren.
I said, I have no choice.
Ivona, there's still time to come up, Ivona.
Yeah,
accommodation is not a problem.
I know.
We would love Ivona to come and share so she can spread it. We welcome you, Ivona. I welcome you.
We'll get some sponsorship to get you up here. We'll do it too.
Nigel, I should try something, man. But Nigel wants me to be on next week. By all means, I would have just taken a whole week and, not be on the program next week, Saturday. But Nigel wants me to be there.
I know, next week.
I'll have to get an SMA.
College for the program. Yes.
I'll have to get an SMA host
to Atlanta after that.
To replace me.
Youngster, I want to taking a week off. Okay, youngster.
Yes, I'm going to Atlanta. Nigel, by the way, let me just say quickly, Winnie Green is still on the live. Morning, Tutti. Nice seeing you on. You just brought back sweet memories of my Harlem days. These were the best days of my youth. Harlem forever. So
I know, man. Growing up.
Bring that in there.
Growing up in Newtown, man. I know, it was. Soccer was the central thing, right? But this Harlem was more than just soccer. Harlem was, the community, because we did literacy programs. We had other events. So I grew up in that type of environment. Always focusing not only on yourself, but on the importance of community, So, that has stuck with me.
Yeah, all right.
Definitely.
Franklin
Norris says hi to you, Kearns.
Yeah.
She says, hi, Kearns. It's great seeing you again. Victoria Williams says, good morning, everyone. Of course, I'll be there at the event. So she wants to let you know she's going to be there at the event.
Good. Tell us spread the word.
Yeah, she's saying she'll have to make the trip on.
That's one of the things we connect. When we do this and we connect, like, Alvin, it spreads across, like, As we say, wildfire, right?
Frank
Bring all
Williams.
your friends and family. All your friends and family, come along.
Frank P.
When is the
Williams
event?
is also
When
saying
is the
quickly,
event?
Nigel. Let me just say that quickly. Frank P. Williams is also saying, hi, nice to connect. This is Marilyn, Aline, Hildreth, and Valerie's sister. Nice to see Kenita Shillingford.
All right.
Kenita, when is the event? Kenita, give the dates.
Tell us about the event now, Kenita.
The event this year is on Friday, May 23rd, and it begins promptly at 8 p.m. So when you walk in the door at 8 p.m., you will have live music and food available for you to start partying and all the drinks you can get. We are always on time, and we always make sure that the environment is a blast so you can come in and enjoy yourself. Friday, May 23rd at 8 p.m.
And for those who just landing and want to drive the right away, what's the address?
JVC Rentals. Alvin, do you have the address? Provide them with the address, please.
Hold on, I'll give it by the time they
Okay, all right.
JVC
Because you know there's some people who are
it's-
driving and they want to drive straight to there.
They just Google JVC Rentals and they'll get to the spot.
It's
They
right
don't
on
even have to have a
Stone Mountain
physical
Highway.
address. Yes.
That's
Okay,
all.
I've
so
done
it's right
that
on
when I
Stone
first
Mountain
had to go
Highway.
there.
Okay, all right,
So,
all right.
so you heard that, Nigel. Keep your wallet at home. You don't need a wallet. You don't need credit card. Once you buy that ticket and you walk in, you eat and drink all night. You don't have to go and get a ticket for a drink. And the price is quite good too. Because you can stand by a bar for one night and easily, I've done it. You go to a place where you have to buy your drinks, and the price we're asking, you spend that twice that in one night.
But one of the things
One of the
things I like about the event as well is that it's almost like a reunion because you end up seeing people, Dominicans you haven't seen for a while. You chit chat by the bar, you take pictures, and that's one of the good things about the event. It's almost like a reunion in itself.
I want to mention also that we do have security at the door.
Okay.
So there's no need for security because of the group that we have there. But we felt it was, important to make sure that people felt safe when they're at the event.
Okay,
so we do have security there all throughout the event. So you should have no worries. It's a great group. We've never had an incident that needed to be reported. We always have fun. So please come out. Yes.
Kenita, Sandra Norris is saying if you as part of the event, she knows that everything will be on point. So
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I try to keep this boys in line.
Sandra, that's been by Sandra.
So I do need to mention, can I mention that where the tickets are available? Is that okay?
Yes, that's about to ask if someone wants to get a ticket now. How do they get
it? It's all right.
There's a Dominican who has a platform that we've been using. It's myfedtickets.com. Myfedtickets.com.
Okay.
You can get there, just myfedtickets.com and look for Old School Jam. And just go ahead and you can purchase your ticket.
And they can do that from now, right? Is it available?
Yeah, you can do it now. Yes, tickets are on sale. Yes, tickets are on sale.
But you know what I relate this to? If any of you have ever been to the Dominica Club when Swing Stars used to do their Dimanche Gua and New Year's Eve party. That's the kind of atmosphere I related to. If you remember those good times, any of you,
Yes. And even now at 40, where they go through. Yes, I want to you saying your
I was saying quickly, we have a dinner we are set to give away. We have 3 bottles of wine. So in the meantime, you can ask a quick question.
Quick question.
Yes, a quick thing.
Let's quick question. When did that's the hard question, man, because we want them to win right away. I was going to ask them what year was the first year the Island Classic started, but that's a hard question for them. Quick question. Well, if you know the answer, you can answer that. All right.
2019. What our first year was it? 2019.
So the question is, what year was the first Island Classic event for the Atlanta Carnival?
Okay.
All right. So if you can answer that, you get yourself something. Another quick question for them, Ivan. What's a quick, easy one you want to ask them, so they can call and win something?
What's the best? What is the best? Well, more so before the high school in Dominica.
That's an easy question.
The Dominica Grammar School, I answer.
Easy question.
I wanna boy, you're not easy.
That is very subjective. That is very subjective.
Yes,
So there's no answer to that.
Let Winnie Green answer the question. Winnie, call an answer.
Yeah. So just give us the question again, Nigel. Or Tuti, which one? About what year? What's it?
Yes. What year was the first
Island Classic? Yeah, old school jam. Yes.
Old school jam Island Classic.
Yes.
What year was the first year that they had?
So the first person that answers on the live.
First person that answers get the prize right.
Get the prize,
We're not wasting time with that one. So in terms of Island Classic and the rest of the Atlanta Carnival, is that like the Friday? That's like the first major event is for the weekend, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the major highlight events. Yes, you do have several other events taking place. In mind, all the various countries do have events. I think starting first day. I think that Friday morning. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kenita. You have the Juve. But the activities start taking place from as early as maybe that Wednesday of this week, which would be the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. The Saturday is the parade of the bands and all of that downtown Atlanta. You have events all day Saturday, then Sunday again you have more events taking place, barbecues and
brunches.
And then the Monday you also have events on that Monday as well.
Picnics.
So there are other Dominican groups doing other things. Right? What's the level of collaboration?
Trilogy will be up here.
What's the level of collaboration between you guys and the other groups doing other Dominican groups or other Dominican artists performing? Are they going to come over to Island Classics event?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Last year, as I said, Issa Banton, we gave him an award. He was at our event, and he was the Grand Marshal, and he was there. And we have another Dominican group doing a Southside Punch. I think you went to it while you were there, Nigeria.
Yes. That was wonderful.
A lot of Dominicans. So you have various activities taking place.
You mentioned Trilogy as well will be there this year.
And Trilogy will be there this year. Trilogy is performing at after the parade, they culminates in a park. Trilogy will be there. Shelly will be up here. Shelly is generally there every year, actually. And so there are quite a few Dominicans performers that usually come up and perform. Triple K was there last year. They perform at the Southern Punch. So it's a lot of fun. It's really, really a lot of fun.
And you see a lot of the Dominican flags, I would imagine, I can just see it, I can just sense it, Nigel. All over the place, the Dominican flags, there are Dominicans talking
and not trying to be biased in any way. Dominican music, our music is rich. The bouillon, the kadas, every one of the genre of music that we take, there's this thing about it that you can't stand still if you hear that music. And that's why I guess Kanita can't stand still in that music style. And the Caribbean music, the soca and all of that, the calypsos, it's just that we as a Caribbean people, we are so rich in our culture and what we do and how we do it and how we express it too as well. How we express it. It's a big difference. And that's why folks in North America and other places who are not necessarily from the Caribbean, they fall into this event. So they come to your event or party and they love this thing so much. Ask you, when are you having the next one?
Someone is also asking, Kenita, you mentioned it starts at 8. They want to know if there's a cutoff point. Is it 8 to 1 or 8 until you're tired? Or?
Till you're tired.
Oh, yeah? Until you're tired. Okay. We do not like it. Like what they said, I don't stop. So as long as I don't stop, nobody else is going to stop. I encourage people to just follow suit and let's not stop. Look, so we shut down at 4 a.m. We shut down at 4 a.m. Yes.
Okay. Issa Banta will be there. So I'm sure Issa will pop by at the event again this year.
Okay.
Oh. Wonderful. And that's Friday, May 23rd. That's the weekend of Atlanta Carnival.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Again, tickets are available. Just to, tickets are available at myfettickets.com and just look for Old School Jam Flamboyance. Just myfettickets.com, Old School Jam.
And the venue,
just to note,
the venue in the chat. The venue.
Just to note, I'm not only dancing, I'm working while I'm dancing. So I'm working all night while I'm there. So yes,
even
I do work.
Even when you're taking your foot, you can dance.
Yes, I'm dancing when I'm taking my foot. Yes, I am. Yes.
Nice.
This is cool, man.
Which is good, which is good. So there's a combination of that, dance and work together.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there's dinner before, and of course, so when you buy the ticket, it's for both, right? It's for both dinner and dance.
Covers everything.
Covers everything. And open bar.
Once you walk into that door, you're covered. You do not need a dime all through that time while you do. You have hors d'oeuvres, you have a full dinner, a full 4 or 5 course dinner, and then you have drinks flowing from the time you walk in. The dinner is served at a specific time, so it's not available all through the night. But the hors d'oeuvres are served before the dinner. As soon as the hors d'oeuvres move out, the dinner comes in. So you will never ever be without food. And you can even have a takeout plate if you want when you leave. Yes, so if there's leftover, you want to take it away, you can. We do not want to throw anything away. Yes, everything is for you because you paid your money.
So I mean, as we're coming towards the end in terms of time and everything else, I know we might be a little bit over. For those who might not have been part of this program before, connecting the dots, we try to do this every Saturday. We connect with Dominicans. What's your take on this particular program?
I love it. I've watched. I have been present. I've watched. I watched recently again, and I was watching this morning with Marie-Therese. And I think it's very informative and very involving because I can relate to a lot of things that a lot of the people on this programs are saying. You know, what high school they went to, what their goal is for Dominica, what they're planning on doing, or what they're doing now. So it makes me feel present. It makes me feel present in Dominica. And it sets the tone for my Saturday. It really does. So I really appreciate that program, and I enjoy it. And I hope, you and Ivona continue to do this for as long as you have life in you.
And I hope we'll have you as guest. We'll have you as a guest also, Joseph Gates and also Alvin. We'll have you as a guest on,
Yeah, we're available.
So you need to get your story.
And that lady, again, I have to go back to this lady who was on today.
Wow, that
Marie-Therese. I am so fascinated with what she's doing. You know what I mean? And, I have this phrase that I tell clients sometimes. One person with passion is like 100 people with interest. And she's got passion for this. You know what I mean? There's it comes through, and this was just lovely. I could listen to her all day,
Well, we hope you continue connecting with us on Saturdays.
Yes. Unlike Kanita, I'm always a little later to the party. So, now that I'm connected, I'm going to stay connected,
Wonderful.
Well, what I will say, Nigel, you know my role with the program, so I won't elaborate any further. Ivona knows. So it's a part of the family.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You know what I do.
The City family and the City train. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate it, and we look forward to you guys connecting with us continuously, but more so for your event Friday, May 23rd, so that people can go out there, shake a foot, have some nice Dominican food, and be part of the event and enjoy Atlanta Carnival and more so Island Classics.
By the way, Nigel,
Caribbean food.
Nigel.
Yes.
Nigel was asking.
Let me just say.
Was that I
was just asking, will Alvin be part of the program next week? Or he'll just be in the back?
Yes. I'll be playing. I'll have a part to play because I'm the chairman of that committee that's responsible for the renovation of the.
I'm going to hear SB in my head, do we?
I chair that. I also chair this group that we have here right now. So I wear a lot of different hats.
Yeah, he's got so many chairs. Which chairs today?
Well, let me just say, Ivona, let me just say thank you to you, Nigel, and DBS for allowing us that platform to talk about the event. And it is, as we said, it is not just Dominica. Yes, it's Dominica, as Kanita said, but it's the broader Caribbean
right.
What we do out here. It's like next week's program. We are partnering with the college in Miami and the wider community. So whatever we do is always encompassing. And no matter where we are, I'm telling you this much. Those of us Dominicans in the diaspora, and I try cautiously to use that word diaspora. Dominicans overseas, if that's a better word, I don't know. Our heart is in DA. We love Dominica. No matter what, thick and thin, we love this place they call Dominica. And whatever we do is always to highlight Dominica as our place, our homeland that we love so much, and by extension, the Caribbean. So we really want to thank you guys, and we hope that those listening will tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend and come out and have a good time. It would be really nice to see some of you we have not seen in a long while.
All right. Well, thank you, Nigel. We'll see how we can capture a little of it. We can do something, Nigel.
Oh yeah.
Whether just a small, a short video, a clip, we can
Yeah,
be on the
certainly,
program. So
certainly.
Actually, I have. Actually, can you tell me where to send it? I have one right now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We're always
Listen to
ready.
Nigel.
We're always ready.
Yes,
Yeah.
Alvin knows exactly
So,
how to get
yes.
through.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll make it happen.
All right. I'll send Alvin. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
All right, guys. Well, appreciate it.
Yep.
Appreciate the connection. Continue
Thank
to
you
enjoy
so
your
much, man.
family, and all the best in your planning for the next couple of weeks. And
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough for the next couple of nights, but all the best on that. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
You take
you.
care.
Thanks for having
Really
us. We
appreciate it,
appreciate
guys.
it.
We enjoyed
Thank you
it.
so much.
All right.
All
Take
right.
care.
And let
Nigel?
that lady know how impressed
Wow.
I was with her,
Okay.
please.
Most definitely, we'll do that.
Yeah.
All right.
All the
All
best.
right.
All the
Thank
best.
you.
Nigel, next week, God
Bye,
willing.
bye, guys.
All right then.